Over the course of the ninth grade year, I've evolved as a writer. My writing grew in the areas of reader response, style, vocabulary, mechanics, and syntax, and I added muscle to my skeletal strengths in critical analysis and organization. We started the year with a formative writing assessment based on the novel When I Was Joe. I chose to research and write a magazine article on a social issue, a topic referred to many times in the novel, cutting, a form of self-inflicted injury. Looking back on my first effort of the year, there were clearly gaps in my writing. I had done a great deal of research on cutting. As a result of this in-depth understanding of the issue, the article was detailed and analytical. My ideas were organized logically and were effectively enhanced by appropriate cohesive devices. The organization of my paragraphs was based on the subtopics that I had found in my research. However, there was significant shortcoming in the article. It would not resonate with the intended audience. For an article in a magazine for teens, its tone was formal and factual, better suited to inform parents and adults about the issue than to engage a teen. Moreover, there were awkward transitions and lack of cohesion between different ideas in the paragraphs. For example, over here, the two awkward transitions. Here, jumping between paragraphs. And here, between the last two paragraphs, there's no connection or flow. While the vocabulary was good and wide-ranging, the mechanics and syntax were monotonous and the sentence structure simple. The type of my sentences did not vary, and neither did that of the coordinated and subordinated structure. For example, over here in this paragraph, these four sentences have the same exact sentence structure. And the same goes for this paragraph. As can be seen, there was a lot of room for progress. The next major writing effort was on an autobiographical incident. In this descriptive essay, I applied the many rhetorical devices, imagery, and showy language that we had learned about. Brainstorming and planning led to multiple revisions of the essay, wherein different ideas were considered and played a part in shaping the final outcome. In the finished essay, a lot of improvement can be seen in the use of vocabulary, mechanics, and syntax, style and fluidity, and the use of rhetoric devices and imagery. The rhetoric devices that I used were diction, as seen over here, internal monologue, imagery, and metaphors. This is an example of the improvement of my mechanics and syntax in this writing sample, and the three different sentences show three different sentence structures. My progress during this writing was almost tangible. The third writing sample that highlights the progress of my writing is the Powell Reading Cornerstone Assessment, the pastiche on the novel Marcello in the Real World. The pastiche focused on using imagery and showing, not telling language. This was entirely new for me. For this assessment, I had to do a lot of planning and brainstorming of ideas. And in this way, through the drafts that I did as well, the final project was much more better organized. These multiple drafts that I had to do during the writing process shows all the changes that I had to make to my storyline and scenes that I was going to include in the story. In my final pastiche, I used a lot of showing, not telling language. I also improved my vocabulary and included a wider range of words in my writing. In this final pastiche, the places where I have used imagery are highlighted. There are many examples of where I have used this. In addition, my mechanics and syntax also continue to improve, as seen in this paragraph with the three different sentence structures. The fourth major piece of writing that shows my improvement through the year is the poetry unit. In this unit, we focused on including poetic devices to enhance our writing. The 8 poetic devices that I used in the 2 pieces of poetry that I'm going to be displaying are simile, rhyme scheme, metaphor, caesura, enjambment, imagery, personification, and alliteration. Throughout this unit, I found again that the use of drafts and planning was very helpful to organize and sort through and put down all of the ideas that I had. This is my first poem, a free verse poem, and you can see the 5 different poetic devices that I've used in this. rhyme scheme that goes AABB, metaphor, seen in Broken Hearts, and enjambment in the way the lines run on. And also I used a lot of imagery and persona. In my second poem, also a freeverse poem, you can see other poetic devices that I used. Rhyme scheme, again, was AABV. I used simile, caesura, and alliteration. Through this unit in poetry, my writing was greatly enhanced and enriched by the many poetic devices that I learned to use. In reviewing the work that I did over the course of the year, it is clear that I have evolved as a writer. Specifically, I have learned reader response, my awareness of the purpose and intended audience improved, critical analysis, I have continued to show depth and thought in my pieces, organization, I have learned to organize my ideas in a logical and effective manner, style, I have improved the overall clarity and fluidity through my pieces, vocabulary, I improved my word choice and started trying to use a wider range of vocabulary in my writing, mechanics and syntax, I learned to vary the lengths and types of sentences in my writing and change their structure. Although I have improved a lot in my writing over the course of the 9th grade year, there was still more to do to improve as a writer. Going into 10th grade, two major action goals that I have identified are 1. To read more, so that I can understand the structure of the writing of the work and maybe apply different ideas into my own writing. 2. To write more, whether it be postcards, letters, emails, but to strive for perfection through practice. In working on these goals, I believe that I can improve much more in 10th grade as a writer. Thank you.